Hey, my friends, I'm Matt. This is the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast. And you know that part in action movies, or sci-fi or adventure movies where you just watched a big giant fight and it was a pretty good fight, but now the losing side is just so beat down that they can barely even lift their sword anymore. So they kind of lazily parry a little bit this way or that. Or it's like in The Mandalorian real early on when Din is fighting that Mudhorn and he's just getting his butt kicked. And finally he's like, all right, well, you're a big, giant, mega fauna horned animal and I got this dagger, but I'll just kind of hold this here. Like, you just know, that's the limpest attempt at possibly defeating the charging bull of truth that is coming right at you. And don't even think about what happens next in that fight with Baby Yoda and the Force and all that stuff. The analogy breaks down at that point. You can picture that scene where it's abundantly clear to everybody, all right, that's not going to work, but okay, I mean, I guess props to you for still trying. And that is what you are getting here in Matthew chapter 12 with Jesus doing remarkable thing after remarkable thing, asking for no money or power. And then after he does a good thing, people get real mad at him. He's like, you know what I'm going to do? Go somewhere else and do more good things. And then he goes and does that. He teaches good things. It's just redemptive and right and good. And it's in keeping with everything that was predicted that was supposed to be good when this character, the Son of David, the Christ, the Messiah, the Son of God, shows up to establish this kingdom. So in the rhetorical sense, the Pharisees, the teachers of the law at this point, have just been beaten senseless by the Mudhorn. And now they're kind of just standing there with their dagger and they're like, well, we got to do something. Like, we can't just let them get away with continuing to do good things and not say anything. Wait, I thought of something, Carl. Let me try this. Hey, you there is healing the guy with the demons that can't talk or anything. You're doing that healing by demons. That was a good one, Carl. Look, we've talked about this. You know I'm pretty empathetic toward the Pharisees at times. I get where they're coming from. I don't think these people were just pure evil through and through. I don't think they're lame bad guys. I think they're complex, interesting bad guys. They're just beat down here and grasping at straws. And they've got out the turd cannon and they're just blasting stuff against the wall, hoping that something will stick. Well, in this case, it's not going to stick. Matthew 12:22, just to reset it. Then a bunch of people brought Jesus a demon-possessed man who was blind and mute, and Jesus healed him so that he could both talk and see. And the people were astonished and said, could this be the Son of David? So the Messiah. But when the Pharisees heard this, they said, it's only by Beelzebub, prince of demons, that this fellow drives out demons. Just make counter accusations and hope it works. Jesus knew their thoughts and said to them, which in itself is interesting. So maybe they didn't articulate all this Beelzebub stuff to everybody in public. Maybe they knew it was an incredibly weak thing to say, but it's like how your mom could always hear what you were plotting in the back seat and she just let it go for a while and then she'd turn around and be like, Kyle, quit plotting to push your sister out of the car. And you're like, how did you know that? How did you know? Eyes in the back of my head, kids. Jesus got eyes in the back of his head too, and here's what he says next. Every kingdom divided against itself will be ruined, and every city or household divided against itself will not stand. I mean, Abe Lincoln drew on that quote. If Satan drives out Satan, he's divided against himself. How then can his kingdom stand? This is brilliant. Jesus is like, okay, I see you standing over there all beat up, limply holding on to that dagger, the last weapon you've got, but let's just, for the sake of argument, entertain the thing that you just flung at me. So Satan, which according to you is a very dangerous thing. So we agree that there's some threat here. There's some real stakes when we're talking about demons or the prince of demons or even Satan himself. So if Satan is so dangerous, why would he be stupid enough to attack himself, weaken himself, and if he were indeed doing this as a matter of practice, as apparently you gentlemen are proposing, then why are we still even worried about him as a threat or even worried about his silly little kingdom of darkness? So aggressive parry and counterpunch number one is, why would this Satan who you think is so dangerous attack himself? Aggressive parry and counterpunch number two is, and if I drive out demons by Beelzebub, but by whom do your people drive them out? That one landed. It's so brilliant. Like, okay, so you see some sort of exorcism going on, and you guys claim to be able to do exorcisms. Then how do you guys pull that off? Do you have some other thing that you do? I mean, I think you guys would say that's from God, right? Your exorcisms that you do. So why would this be any different? And why would you even waste your time exorcising demons governed by a prince of demons who is so stupid as to inflict damage on his own legions? Jesus goes on, so then they'll be your judges. But if I drive out demons by the Spirit of God, then the kingdom of God has come upon you. Okay, I got my fingers here and I'm using them as calipers, and I got to say they are about 1.5 inches apart as I measure how much text in my Bible it took for Jesus to completely dismantle the stupid things the Pharisees were saying. Have you heard of the BS asymmetry principle? I think Brandolini is the Italian mathematician who articulated this a few years ago, and his argument is that it takes an order of magnitude greater energy to refute bullcrap than it does to initiate bullcrap. I mean, this is the technique. I referenced the turd cannon earlier, right? I mean, this is something you can do if you're in trouble and you just need to obfuscate, is just you just fire a bunch of crap at everything and hope that is just too much and it's overwhelming, and the people that want to think straight, the people you're trying to defeat, just won't be able to overcome all of the crazy stuff you just threw out. But Jesus of Nazareth, in 1.5 inches of text right here, defies the immutable ratio of Brandolini's BS asymmetry principle and refutes their nonsense convincingly just that fast. I have to imagine these guys, for as well educated as they were, knew that this was a terrible argument, and they were just lazily muttering with each other, well, this is stupid, and they all knew it was lazy and an idiotic thing that they were saying. But, you know, when you're in your bubble and you just want to all feel better and self-soothe a little bit because you just got your butt handed to you, maybe sometimes you do that. But they just didn't count on Jesus hearing it or knowing their thoughts. And as soon as Jesus started talking, they had to have been like, oh, again? We can't even think things. He just always knows. And now he's going to do this and we're going to look like idiots again. No. Yeah, deep down I have to admit those were both really good points, but I'm not going to admit it. It must have been disheartening for these poor Pharisees, because this really is the weakest little attempt at offense at Jesus, and he absolutely knocks the weapon out of their hands and verbally punches them back. This is the equivalent of me playing basketball with an NBA star and trying to do some lazy little cruise toward the basket, underhanded scoop shot, finger roll layup. And then the guy that's 6'8" and can jump out of the gym doesn't so much just go and tip the basketball away. It's like, that's adorable. What I'm going to do now, while this ball is on its way up toward the rim, is I'm going to leap high into the air. I'm going to put the palm of my hand on this basketball, and I'm going to throw it into the second deck of the arena, just to make sure that everybody who's watching knows very clearly that was weak and that does not belong in this gym. The fun is not over, my friends. Jesus is going to pivot to a couple of more points in this little speech in response to being told that he's in league with Beelzebub, and we are going to enjoy unpacking that over the next couple of days. Last thought on the way out the door here. Would you consider sharing this with somebody else and inviting them into the conversation? It's meant to be conversation-worthy, conversational in style. So if you know somebody, whether they're in on the whole Christian Bible thing or outside looking in on the whole Christian Bible thing, but if you know somebody in either of those camps who you think might enjoy having this conversation with you, or even somebody you think might not enjoy it but might be surprised to find that they actually would enjoy it, would you consider passing that along to them? Inviting other people into what you and I are doing together here is the highest compliment you can pay me, and I'm humbled and thankful in advance that you would even consider that. I'm Matt. This is the 10-Minute Bible Hour podcast. Let's do this again soon.